All right, it's the 9th of May. It's a Friday, and we got 30 minutes to the NY Open. All right, we'll go to the charts in a second. Yeah, just a second. All right, start with the calendar. This is the process I follow. It might be like the same thing over and over again, but it's the same process that I've followed for years, right? And it's kept me safe. It's kept my capital safe, and it's just a process that I follow when it comes to what I do in the first 30 minutes. I look at the calendar, then I look at the daily time frame. I sometimes look at the weekly time frame. Sometimes not every day, but sometimes I look at the weekly time frame, especially on a Friday and then on a Monday to see how the previous week candle closed, and then towards the end of the week to probably predict how the weekly candle is going to close. Um, and then I draw my zones, right? And then I do a recap of the previous day's trade I've taken or any idea that I gave out. And I used to follow those same 5 steps even before I started to stream, right? It's the exact same thing. That's my thought process. And the, it seems boring at times, but it's the same 5 things that I do. And on days when there are days like today that I know that there is no news, I still look at the daily calendar, right? So on Friday today, got no news today, right? Absolutely no news. It should be a regular trading day. Next week, we have CPI, PPI, retail sales, right? Should be a busy week next week. Keep in mind it's a Friday. Don't try to force a trade. But if there is a setup, take the setup. And if my analysis helps, if the prediction that we make, if you see that that can play out, then take a trade with confidence. But learn to manage risk. There are over 140 videos of how I manage risk now on the streams. You can watch any of them. You'll see how I manage risk. I use lower time frame support resistant levels, basically 30-minute support resistance or 15-minute support resistance, to draw a line and to manage risk at that line, right? All right, let's go to the weekly. Now, we're going to, it's a Friday, so we're going to try to predict where the weekly candle is going to close. And by doing so, we can we're going to predict where the daily candle is going to close, and based off that, we're going to look for a lower time frame trade. That's the plan. Okay. Now that trade might come in within the first 2 hours of the NY Open, or it might come in 4 5 hours later, so around London close, right? And that's been the trend so far. We've seen volume come in after NYSE open. Towards London close is when volume comes in, the last 2 weeks, right? Last week and this week, that's how it's been, right? So it's very possible that that same kind of trend continues, right? And when I mean trend, I don't mean up or down. I mean the trend of volume coming in later on in the session, right? So that's very possible. Keep that in mind when I do the analysis. Keep that in mind. That you might not see it happening in the first 1 or 2 hours. It might take 3 4 hours after NYSE open, after the 4-hour candle closes, for the setups to start, falling into place to take the trade. Right. The weekly candle is very bullish, right? Now this candle, we predict that this weekly candle is going to close bullish. The question is it going to close with a very big top wick, right? A very big top wick, or a smaller, or the wick around this size, right? At the current size, it's going to close with a wick around the current size, or a bigger wick, right? Which means a smaller body. Now, let's look at both scenarios. If price is to close with the current wick, right? around this size or maybe a little smaller than this, that means price has to continue to push up, which means the daily will likely need to close bullish for that to happen. The daily will likely need to close above 3329, maybe even around 3350 or under 3350, right? Somewhere there. That's where the daily would need to close for the weekly candle to close with a wick this size or smaller, right? Which means it'll have a bigger body and a wick around the same size of the body or a little smaller than the body, right? Price will need to push up on the daily, which means we're going to, on the lower time frame, price is going to either pull back and continue up. That's what's going to happen on the daily. Price will pull back and continue higher, right? That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is price, the weekly candle closes with a bigger wick, much bigger than this, right? Where this wick will extend probably around to 3289 and price might close, the daily candle might close below 3289, right? So for the daily candle to close below 3289 or around 3300, it needs to flip bearish. The candle needs to flip bearish. It could be a bearish doji, something like this, but it would need to flip bearish if it needs to close around 3300 or 3289, right? There or even further down, which means that would be a bearish daily candle, and the weekly candle will have a bigger wick and a smaller body, right? And for that to happen, price would need to continue to push up a little, grab liquidity around 3329 or 3350 or a liquidity candle in that area, and then continue to push down. Now that move might happen, that's a larger move, right? So from here, let's say around this area, if it continues to push down, that's about a 300, 400 pip move or a 450 pip move. We've not seen 300, 400 pip moves at the NY Open. We've not seen that in the first 2 hours of the NY Open. We've not seen that in the last 2 weeks, right? 300, 400 pip moves. But we've seen them after, towards the London close. That's when we've seen 300, 400 pip moves. We saw one yesterday. If you look at the 4-hour chart yesterday, you'd see 400 pip move, or even actually a larger move, a lot larger move that happened towards the end of the second half of the NY session, right? So going by what's been happening over the last 2 weeks, if price is to push down 400 or even 500 pips, that move can happen later on. It can come after the 4-hour candle closes, right? After the current 4-hour candle closes. The 4-hour candle has almost about 2 hours, 20 minutes to close. So after this 4-hour candle closes is possibly when that big move can happen for the second scenario to play out, for the weekly candle to have a bigger wick and a smaller body. Still a bullish candle, but a bigger wick and a smaller body, right? So those are the two scenarios. Make note of that. Rewatch it later on. The first 8 minutes of the stream. Rewatch it if you need to in a couple of hours, just to remind yourself of what the prediction is, right? Let's go to our trading chart now. Okay, so before we draw the zones, let's do a quick recap, right? Because this is the pattern that I follow. I do a quick recap of what any trade that we took yesterday, any ideas that were given, how did they work, did they play out? It's a learning for me. It's a learning for me, and that's how I learn. It's my journaling, right? And then we start with our zones. Okay, so we ended the stream. This is a 30-minute time frame. Right, this is a 30-minute time frame. Just, yeah. 1 second. Okay, we ended the stream when this candle was closing, I believe, right? Or when this candle was open. I think when this candle was closing. So I said if this candle closes a bear candle, that means we're probably tapping this level was the 4-hour high. If you remember, if you were here on the streams yesterday, 3361.89 was the previous 4-hour candle high. This was the open of the 4-hour candle. IC markets 9 a.m. IC markets server time. That was the candle 4-hour candle high. I said if this candle closes bearish, that means we're going to probably reverse tap that area and reverse and push down. But if it closes bullish, look to buy, and I gave two levels, right? On the 5-minute time frame, I said look to buy. You can place pending orders, wait for the candle to close, I said, and then you can place pending orders and look to buy, right? So if you go to the 5-minute time frame, all right. So these were those this was a reason, right? There was a drop, two basing candles in a rally. There was two lines that I drew, 3352.58, 3351.91. I said that's where you would want to take a buy. You would draw the fib. If you go to the 50-minute time frame, you would wait. I said wait for a low to be taken out. This one already took out this low. Wait for another low to be taken out. So this one took out this low. So you would draw the fib like this from the most recent high to the lowest low from there, and take the trade. And that's exactly when that level, those two green levels, line up perfectly with the sniper entry, right? 3351 3351.77. So I placed pending orders there. Once this 15-minute candle broke this low, I drew the fib. The reason we draw the fib is because I explained all this yesterday. 30-minute support is already formed. If you look here on the 30-minute time frame, we already have 30-minute support, right? So I drew the fib after this candle broke this candle low, right? And after this candle closed. This candle opened at 1645, closed at 1700 IC market server time. Soon as that candle closed, I placed the pending orders here. I drew the fib, placed the pending orders. I said, you got to be okay with taking partial positions at smaller levels because we don't have a lot of volume in the NY Open, unlike the Asian session where we have 600, 700 pip moves. In the NY session, we've been having 100 pip moves, 120 pip moves, at least in the first 2-3 hours of the NY session, right? So you got to be okay with taking 50 pips, 60 pips, 70 pips, okay? And this order from here, I took an order here that ran up. I got out at around 70%, at about 70 pips. I took partial positions. And then when we tapped this and rejected, and the candle came back, I closed the trade. So that was about 100 pips basically on that trade, right? 100 pips. Then let's get rid of this. That was the buy idea. I also gave out a sell idea. I said, if you want to take sells, wait for 30-minute resistance to form at a liquidity level, right? At the EMA or at the weekly SR level and a tradable 30-minute back candle to close, right? This was that candle, tapped the weekly SR level, perfect 30-minute tradable back candle close. You wait for the candle to close, go to the 15-minute time frame, draw the fib. This high took out this side, this one took out this side. That's the fib, and price came back in. When it started to tap this level, that's when I entered the sells, and I got out at the BRN, right, or the psychological round number, and then at the liquidity candle. So that was about a 70 pip, 75 pip stop loss, and about 150 pips here, and about 120 pips roughly there, right? Now price continued to push down, right? Price just plummeted down after that was the second half of the NY session. Price just got there, pulled back up, and just went straight down another 600 pips, right? Now, there's nothing you can do about that because there is no guarantee that price would do that. We've not had a lot of volume. Volume has been coming later on. This is my trading window. You see these two vertical lines. This is the NY Open. This is 3.5 hours after the NY Open, right? So I try to keep my trading within that window, right? Sometimes it's just 2 hours. Sometimes I come back later, 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 45 minutes after the stream ends, and I come back and look at the chart, right? I do that sometimes, but I keep my trading to this window, to these two vertical lines. Okay, so those were the two trades, and they played out perfectly. Let's get rid of these and let's start drawing our zones for today. Yeah, that's good. Just want to see the we got 289, 329, 367. Yeah. All right. Let's start. Let's start with supply because again, any questions on anything that uh, I've discussed so far, feel free to drop a message in the chat. Yes, and I'll do my best to answer. If anything that I've said is unclear, the sound is good. If anything that I've said, okay, just a second. Yeah, if anything that I've said is unclear on the recap or so far, feel free to drop a message in the chat. Just a second. Okay. So we have a drop, two basin candles and a drop, right? That's very clear. We can start with that. All right, the price has already come there. Let's take a look at this area on the 1 hour because price has crossed weekly SR level here. Um, yeah, yeah, that's good. Also on the 30-minute, very quickly. Yeah, that's good. That's a 400 pip zone. That's a large zone. Okay, the high is 959, 968. Okay. I'm going to extend this to the right. Just need to cover, yeah, that's 800 pips. That's good. That's good. That's enough. Okay. So this is a 4-hour supply zone. Let's look at demand. We have a drop, we have a base, two basin candles, and we have a rally. Right? Again, we're going to take a look at this on the 1 hour because price has crossed the psychological round number here. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, let's keep it here. 19, 843, 479. Okay, that's 4-hour demand there. And then further down, we need to cover at least. Yeah, that's good. We just extend this one to the right. Okay, that's good enough. We've covered about 800 pips to the downside and about 850 pips to the upside. So that's good. Okay. So now we have two new zones. Just one second. Let's take a look at this again on the, yeah, yeah, two fairly large 325 pip zone here and a 400 pip zone up here. And prices in between there is 200 pips. Okay. Um, yeah. So we have two new zones. We have a supply zone, a 4-hour supply zone here, and we have a new 4-hour demand zone here for the NY Open. Now let's take a look at this zone and see if we've taken out uh, any demand on the way down. Uh, it obviously has. This one has taken out this. There's a base rally here. This candle here has taken out this. We don't even need to go to the 1 hour. So we know that that's a high liquidity zone, right? Has this taken out anything onto the left on the way up? Yes, there's a rally, two basin candles and a drop, and this candle has taken out those highs, has taken out that. So this too is a high liquidity zone, right? Perfect. Uh, okay, next we're going to look for a liquidity candle in this supply zone, right? Because that's where price is currently at. There are many liquidity levels in it. There is a weekly SR level right here. There is 3350 psychological round number. There's another weekly SR level there, and I'm sure there's going to be a liquidity candle in it as well. And we also have no, we don't have the EMAs. The EMAs price is already above the EMAs. Okay, so let's start here. The largest candle is this for now. It's a 330 pip candle. That's a 400 pip candle. Okay, let's start with this one. Let's go down to 30-minute time frame. 260, 264, 187, 261. 263. Let's go to the 15-minute. $191, 194. It's a 489 pip drop down. It's a 500. Yeah, this is tricky. I'm gonna have to calculate the numbers on this. Let's look at the 5-minute. Yeah, this one right here. That one. That's the one. That's the candle. Yeah, that's where price is heading to. Let's go back to the 30-minute. Let's do the numbers on this. 264. Yeah, they're the same. 61.89. Yeah, it's that candle. That's the one. That's a 5-minute one. $194. Yeah, we'll have to calculate this as well. 61.89, 61.89 minus 42.74, 42.74, 19.15, 15, 60.06, 1935. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the 5-minute. $60.47, 274. Yeah, we're heading there. We're heading to this. Yeah, we're heading to this candle right here. Price should come up here. Even 3350. That's where we're heading to. These candles are the same size. This one and this one. They're just a point. I think a couple of points apart. Let's look at the 5-minute again. Yeah, it's that. We're coming there to this. Is there a candle with no top wick? No. 1 hour? No. Yeah, we're coming deeper. We're coming in. Okay, that's good. Right, let's take a look at demand very quickly. This is already the NY open. We've got this 1 hour candle and also a liquidity grab here from this weekly SR level. So we'll start with that. This was a liquidity grab in the Asian session today from 3289. Let's go to the 30-minute time frame. It would be this candle right here. Let's go to the 15-minute. Yeah, it's this big push-up, 330 pip push-up. Let's keep it to the 15-minute. 680006. Okay, that's the liquidity candle coming down. Yeah, so that's where we could push down to. It's about a 400 pip drop. We spoke about this in the second scenario. If price is to push down, create a larger weekly candle wick, then this could happen. Price could come all the way down to this candle right here, right? Past around 3,300 and below, even to 3289. Okay, that's the analysis, right? Usually takes about 30 minutes, and that's what it is. Okay, so now let's take a look at what price has done in the Asian and London sessions. Let's go to the 50-minute time frame. See where the market opened. Yeah, that's the market open right here. This is, so the market opened at 3308. 3308 was the open price. Okay. Twenty-three oh three. 479. Okay, just a second. Yeah. Okay. 295. 228. Okay, let's take a closer look at what price has done. So in the Asian session, price moved as usual. We've had massive moves in the Asian session. Almost 500 pips, 400, and could say 500 pips, right? And in the London session, just about 190. Let's say 200, roughly 200 pips in the London session, and 500 pips in the Asian, 200 pips in the London. Okay, so big Asian session move as usual. We've been seeing this for the last 2 weeks since last Monday. We've been big moves in the Asian session, and the reason for that is there is news to do with the tariffs that are coming out uh, towards the end of the New York trading day, right? And so that volume uh, is seen in the market in the Asian session, right? That's why we're having big pushers in the Asian session. So it's a clear shift of volume to the Asian session from the NY session to the Asian session. In the New York session, we've been having smaller moves, much smaller in the first 2 3 hours of the NY Open. But towards the second half of the NY session, around towards the London close, we've been having, fairly decent moves. Okay, so let's try understand better what price has done. Price did it was bearish. Second half of NY session came tapped 3289. That's the weekly SR level. Formed 30-minute support. This is all what happened yesterday. NY session formed 30-minute support. Closed above 3,300, and this was the market open. So we were bullish after we tapped 3289. We pushed up. Then we ranged, came back up, created the Asian high because we were bearish after we tapped here. Even though we pushed up, overall price was bearish because price is under the EMAs, right? So it came very close to the EMAs. You can consider that as a touch of the EMA. That's just a few pips away, and then push straight down, okay, through 3289, created the Asian low, pushed back up, created a liquidity candle. This is considered probably it was a decision point where is this level 3289. Let's look at the daily 32, yeah, so 3289 right here, 3289 is a decision area, right? Is a previous decision area because that's exactly where daily support was. You can see the bear candle and the push up, that is all at 3289. These wicks are at 3289. This wick is at 3289. So that's a decision area. So price made a clear decision that 3289 um, is too low or too cheap. Created a liquidity candle, created 30-minute support, right? And a massive push up, 286 pip, single candle push up, right? Pushed up, created a liquidity candle in the process, went straight to the Asian high, closed above it, went and tapped 3329, and then ranged since then. We've just been ranging. Look at that. That's just, if you look at the 1 hour candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 hours we ranged, right? Created the Asian low, we pushed down, created the London low, sorry, pushed back up, created the London high, and we've been in that range for the last 6 hours. Now we've closed above it. There's a 30-minute candle that has closed above it. This 30-minute candle also has closed above it. We are pushing higher. We haven't tapped this liquidity candle in the London session. This was created yesterday, right? Even if you consider this as the liquidity candle, we haven't tapped it yet in the London session. So price is due to tap this liquidity candle, even come up to 3350, right? So no buying at this point because we're inside a supply zone. Let's take a look at that area again clearly. Yeah, we can push the zone higher because prices come deep. This open 32. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to keep it like that. 78 pips. Push up. 30-minute support is formed. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not interested in taking buys. Not at this point. No, we are too far away. If price was down here, London low at least, I would have looked to take buys to go up. This is even if price pushes down here. Yeah, that's just 100. No, it's not worth it. This open is 248, 246, 248. Yeah, I'm going to take this up here to this zone. So this would be the rally. These are all basin candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? And the reason for that, I'm looking at the lower time frame is because we've crossed this BRN, the psychological round number. We need to look at the lower time frame. So we're going to push this up here, all the way up here to this close 246, 246. Okay, that's better. Yeah. Now we have a narrow zone. Yeah, 260, about 265 pips instead of 400 pip zone. Perfect, better, right? So price is in between supply and demand, right? It's better. We are pushing up. We formed 30-minute support in pre-NY. We've closed above the London high. We should be pushing up. Where is the Asian high? Yeah, we've closed above the Asian high and the London high. We should be pushing up to the liquidity candle. That's another 100 pip move up is coming. But I'm not looking to take buys here. I'm not looking to take buys. It's too close to supply. We'll wait for sells, right? It might take time to play out, might take 2-3 hours. That's what I'll be looking for today because price is heading up. If price is to close bullish, just a second. Yeah, we spoke about this, right? The prediction, right? And I gave two scenarios. So if this is to close with a smaller wick, right? A bigger body, and maybe we're going to close above 3329 or 3350. The weekly candle is going to close around 3350, 3329. That means the daily candle would need to continue to push up and close bullish, right? That was scenario number one. So if that's to play out, then price will continue up here. But price will then first pull back and then continue higher, right? So if it pulls back, let's see, then I might look to it if it pulls back and forms 30-minute support, I might look to take a buy to go up, right? But we are bearish. Yesterday's daily candle was a clear rejection of 3,400 and is pushing down. This could be where price pushes up, grabs liquidity and continues to come down, and maybe even the candle either closes a doji somewhere here or closes bearish around 3,300, right? If that happens, then that's a big move down. That's about a 350, 400 pip move down. That move can happen late. I'm just doing a recap of everything that I said in the first 8 minutes of the stream, right? Um, so then if that's the case, then we're going to get sells from up here. And that's the move that I would like to take, a bigger move coming down. Very similar to yesterday. Look at that big move, 600 pip move down, right? That's the move that I would like to be a part of, not this 100 pip move up, right? Even though price is pushing up and we're coming towards 3350, I would like to take a bigger move coming down, right? Um, and it might happen later. It might not happen in the first 2 hours of the NY Open. Just have to be patient and you have to wait because price has pushed too far away from this liquidity candle uh, or from a liquidity level for that matter, right? And it's closer towards the uh, if you divide this area, right? From the top of this liquidity candle to the bottom of this liquidity candle, which is 800 pip. If you divide it into three parts, right? If you divide it into three parts, that's about what, 800 pips, 800, 266, right? Price is at the top one third of it, right? Towards the top one third of it. Not even in the middle. If it was in the middle, I would have still considered, may have considered to take buys to go up, right? But we're in the top 266 pips would be, if you divide 800 by 3, that's 266. We're in the top one third of it. We're in the sell area, the area for sells. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean we take sells. We have to wait for price to come up, tap the liquidity candle, create show confirmation, right? Maybe we need to see, I need to see 30-minute resistance form, a tradable 30-minute back candle to close to take the trade to come down. Okay, so that's what I'm waiting for. I'm not looking to take buys here, even though I know that price is very likely to push up 100, even 150 pips. I'm not looking to take buys right now. Sells are the better option from this area. Wait for price to push up. I'm going to wait for 30-minute resistance to form, a tradable 30-minute back candle to close, draw the fib, and then take the trade to come down. Wait for the pullback, then take the trade to come down. If you've been on the streams, then you know what that means, right? 30-minute resistance form, a tradable 30-minute back candle to close. Then I draw my fib. I go down to the 50-minute time frame. I draw my fib. I look for minimum 2 M15 highs to be taken out. Draw my fib. Wait for the pullback for price to get to the optimal or sniper entry, and then take the trade down. That gives me, right, a low risk, high reward, higher probability trade. That's the purpose of doing that. That's the only way I trade. I don't chase after price. I'm not a breakout trader. I don't wait for candles to form and then take the breakout. I don't do that. I wait for the pullback, the retracement. That's exactly what I did here yesterday as well. 30-minute resistance formed from 3367. If you watch the first 10 minutes of the stream, you'll see the explanation of how I took this trade. I drew the M15 fib on the M15 time frame, waited for the pullback, took the trade to come down. We're with a fairly smaller stop loss. I think it was about 70 pips, 65, 70 pips stop loss to come down. We are pushing up right now. We are pushing up. Yeah, the 15-minute candle has closed. Yeah, we're trading above these levels, so we're pushing up. Yeah, that's a base. That's a base. We have to draw this base because price has crossed again, just very similar to yesterday. This is very, very similar to yesterday. There was a base here, right? When price on the 30-minute time frame, price crossed this psychological round number, and there was a base that we had to draw. That's exactly what's happened today. Very similar to yesterday. We've crossed this weekly SR level, and now there's a rally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 base in candles. So we have to mark that base out. Yeah. 859. 295. Yeah. Yeah, this makes sense now. There is demand here. We're going to now look at this area. Let's check this area on the, has it taken out any supply? No, it hasn't. There is this rally base drop. These highs have been taken out, but not really. Let's look for a liquidity candle here on the 1 hour. There is this 197. Let's start with that. Yeah. Yeah. See the tap here? Okay. Yeah. That's a clean move up. 152 pip move up. Yeah. That's a candle. 15-minute candle. 745514. Okay. Now this makes sense. 30-minute support form. Push back, tap the liquidity candle, and we're trying to push back up now. From here to here, it's 150 pips. Let's see if you've taken out any lows. 14, this one didn't. This one did. Yeah, this is one. We've formed 30-minute support, right? 30-minute support has formed. This is inside pre-NY. That's okay. This candle has taken out this low. This is very, very similar to yesterday. This candle has taken out this low. That's the only low that has been taken out, previous low, inside of pre-NY hours. This is not, this is where it starts, 1400 hours IC market server time. So we've taken out one. Price needs to take out another low for us to draw a fib and take the trade going up from this liquidity candle, price to continue to push up. Yeah. If it does, we can take a buy to go up. If it does, because we have now a 1 hour zone here, a rally, base, and a rally. 6 base in candles, and then a rally. And the reason we draw it on the 1 hour time frame is because price has crossed a weekly SR level. Whenever price crosses a weekly SR level or a psychological round number, or there's also, I call it a BRN, a big round number, then you need to go down to the lower time frame, to the 1 hour or the 30 minutes to look for the zone, right? There usually is a zone. And there is one right here. And there is also a liquidity candle right here. So can take buys, but they'll be short-lived. They'll be short-lived. They're like 100 pips, 100 pip buys, 100 pip or 150 pip buys. But we got to wait for, I need to wait for another low to be taken out so that I can draw my fib. All right, this is just one. Taken out this low, I need one more. If this takes out this low, then I can draw my fib like that. You can take the trade. Look for buys to go up. Just let me know if in the chat if the video and audio is okay, if you can hear me and see the streams. Thanks, Philip. Okay, perfect. For some reason, it just shows that it's not streaming at my end. Not sure why. Any questions on anything that I've discussed? Feel free to ask about the trades that were given yesterday, about the analysis, about what I'm looking for to happen right now. Um, I've explained I've explained clearly, yes, there is a possibility to take buys. They may be short-lived, but we can take buys, right? But you got to be careful. You got to manage your risk because overall, on the high time frame, we're very bearish. On the daily, we're very bearish, right? So, but we can take buys deeper into this zone. But you got to be prepared that they'll be short-lived. So 40 pips, 50 pips, you got to take partial positions. The better trade would be sells. That would be the better trade, right? But everything is in line for buys as well. We have 30-minute support form. Uh, there is a liquidity candle. There is a zone here, a 1-hour demand zone. There's a liquidity candle inside that zone. There is a weekly SR level. There is a liquidity candle above here, so there is about 140 pips before price gets there, and 30-minute support has formed in pre-NY. 115-minute low has been taken out. So everything is in line. I need to see another single low to be taken out, a 50-minute low to be taken out, to draw the fib and look for a trade. Yeah, around this area, 3329. 3329. Yeah, even here, 3326.5. 3329, 3326.5 is where I'd like to take buys if price pulls back. Just have to be patient and wait. Yeah, maybe this candle is going to take out this low. Let's look at the 30-minute time frame. Yeah, we're just ranging. You can see that there is no volume. NY open, as usual, has not brought volume. That 30-minute candle is just a 45 pip candle. 15-minute, yeah, there is nothing. 39 pips, 44 pips, 38 pips, 37 pips. Okay, we're taking out this low now. There we go. Yeah, take out that low. So this would be the most recent. Yeah, 458, 416. And this one has no bottom wick, this candle. Just got to be careful. Price can come much deeper in. This is the safest stop loss, is always under the liquidity candle. But hmm, 3321 is where you'll have to manage risk. 3321. 3322. 3322. That's where you want to manage risk if you take buys. 3322, right? So you're not having a 120 pip stop loss, obviously. If you get in here, you're having about a 40, 50 pip stop loss. Yeah. Yeah, my concern is that this one has no bottom wick. Yeah, this is where I'd be willing to take a trade. 3329. 3329. Placed a pending there. Just under 3329, and then here. 2681. Yeah. Okay. Manage risk at 3322. Pending order here, exactly at 3329, and then one under at around 3326.75, 0.5, around that area. It could come deeper. could come deeper. The issue is that this candle has no bottom wick. This candle has no bottom wick. And the second one is right at the area that we want to manage risk at 3322. Eight minutes for the candle to close. We're coming down. Let's see. 1430. Closed above. Should be pushing up. It's coming to this candle here. This one right here, that's a 58 pip candle. And this one is a 63 pip. Yeah, this candle, it's coming to this candle. Should get a reaction here. Push back up. Okay, taken a buy. Taken a buy here. Taken a buy here. Just under the optimal. Price could come further down. We tapped the optimal. I took a buy here. Just here. 3329. Just above 3329. One pip above 3329. Should come deeper. Should come around here, I think. Pushing up. Yeah. So that's where I took the buy, right there. But we can come deeper. We can come deeper. What's the? There's another 20 minutes for the candle to close. 5 minutes for the 15-minute candle. This one should close bearish. Come further down. Yeah, this 15-minute candle should close bearish. Let's see. So the buy idea is, I've explained the buy idea several times now, but the buy idea is we buy from this area, that's a liquidity candle, to push up to the sell liquidity candle here, right? And the better trade, the bigger trade, I believe, is going to be from here, coming through this all the way down here. Pushing up, pushing up. Optimal entry, pushing up. No, should be heading towards this. Three, three, four, two. Yeah, 15-minute candle should close bearish. Let's see. But we've tapped the optimal entry, 3329.37. I entered at 3329.1, I think. Just a one pip above this weekly SR level. Soon as we came there, I took a trade right there. Pushed up about 39 pips. Let's see. This is where I'm expecting price to head to. So about 130 pips, 3342. But we can come deeper. If this closes bearish, then we're coming deeper. And this is where I'm managing risk, 3322. So how we manage risk is if price breaks this, goes beyond 3322, if we cross this, you close partial positions. If a 15-minute bear candle closes below 3322, you close everything. That means we're coming deeper in. We're going to the next weekly SR level, right? So that's the first one. Then the next one is around here. We're going deeper. We're coming there, right? So that's another 100 pip drop. So that makes no sense to hold the trade, right? And now, yeah, the 50-minute candle has closed bearish. We're pushing down. We should come further down. We should come further down. NY open first 2 hours has been slow. This is expected, right? It's not like how it was 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, even a month and a half ago, where you had price gets you in and then pushes 100 pips, 150 pips in your direction towards your TP. That's not been the case the last 2 weeks, right? It's just we've had very low volume the first 2 hours, especially the first 2 hours of the NY Open. Right? You can see these candles how price is ranging. Look at yesterday's exact same thing. Look at these 15-minute candles, right? Just going sideways. And even I think the previous day as well. Yeah, look at that. Just going sideways, 50-minute candles, right? Pushed up, came back all the way down again. Right? We've not been having these clean moves up in the first 2 hours, right? In the first 2 hours, within the first hour and a half, 2 hours, we've not had these clean moves. They come in later on. Look at that big move down. That's the Asian session move. Again, look at this Asian session move up. Huge move. Yeah, we're pushing up now. Yeah, if this 5-minute candle closes bullish like this, then we're pushing all the way up. It needs another one of these candles to continue up. Otherwise, we're coming further down. Yeah, so this candle was created, this liquidity candle was created in the Asian session. Let's go to the 50-minute time frame. Yeah, Asian session. And then price tapped it in the London session several times. Should be pushing up. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Still no volume. Very similar to yesterday. But I've taken a trade anticipating price to push up first to around 336 and then continue to 3342. Why 336? Because that's where lower time frame resistance is at. Right there. Around 337. You can see that? 337. 337. Yeah, see that? Price stayed above it, closed below, closed back above, stayed above. We rejected 337, so that's where anticipating price to head to 337. How's the 1 hour candle going to close? Yeah, it's going to close possibly bearish below the London high. But may close a doji. I think the next candle after this candle is going to close in 6 minutes. The next candle is going to come down and break the low and then possibly push up. Yeah, we just have to be patient and wait today. Yeah, I'm going to be here for another 30 minutes. It's a Friday, but I will come back after stream's end, probably um, around 10:30 a.m. EST. I'm going to come back around 10 a.m. EST or 10:30 a.m. EST, probably 10:30 a.m. EST. Come back and check for these cells to come down, right? You're going to keep in mind the prediction that we made for the weekly candle, right? You're going to keep this in mind and then see if it plays out. And how are you going to know if it's going to play out? With the low time frame confirmations. If price comes to a liquidity level, right? So that's a 4 hour zone, a drop base drop. This is a zone that we identified today. If price comes there and within, so 3350. So let's take a look at what's the 3350 on the daily, right? 3350 is where this drop base drop was. It was a previous decision level, right? And price went past the decision level, ignoring it completely. So and was gone past it again, ignoring it again. So when we come there around 3350, that is still a decision area. If price starts to range there, you won't have clear confirmations. You won't have, you'll form 30-minute resistance, but you may not have a 30-minute tradable back candle close, right? That means the price is starting to range there, right? If it starts to range there, then it's going to stay there for the next 2-3 hours and you're not going to get a trade. But if price gets to that area, to this decision area, right, to the liquidity candle, and forms 30-minute resistance and a tradable 30-minute back candle closes, that's when you're likely going to get a trade. And then you draw the fib and you place your pending orders at the best possible price and look to take a trade. And then you'll need to also manage risk. You'll have to find a 15-minute resistance level. There are many ways to manage risk, right? There are many ways to manage risk on a chart. Uh, the one I use during the streams is 15-minute support or resistance. So you can look for 15-minute support or resistance, look at a level, probably there, that's 3347 is a decent area, 3347, right? That's an area you can manage risk at. Even up here, there is one, 3353 or 3354, that's a level. You'll have, depends on where 30-minute resistance is formed, right? Somewhere here around 3350, 3347, 3353, right? Look at the 15-minute time frame. Find a level to manage risk and manage risk if price goes against you. Don't let your don't ever let your full stop loss get hit in a trade, right? Close something. If you risk 2% on a trade, try to lose 1.7%. Try to even try saving 0.3%. That's great. Or 0.5%, even better. And the more you do that, the better you'll get at it. Yeah, we're pushing up now. Heading towards 337. I will take partial positions off at 337. Those are trades that I've taken in that area. Optimal entry um, around here. You gotta be okay with taking small partial TPs. Remember, this is the NY Open. There's been no volume. 40 pips, 50 pips. Got to take something off the table. That's 70. That's 50. We came close to this. We missed 3329 by a pip, by 1 pip. But we could come down. We can still come down because this 30-minute candle is about to close in 30 seconds, and the 1 hour candle, yeah, we can. The 1 hour candle, if it closes bullish, then we're heading up. But if it closes bearish, then the next one could come and break the low and then push up. There we go, pushing up, getting to 337. One hour candle closed bullish. What's this high? 565. What is this high? 556. Once you break this high, we're good. The 1 hour high, then we should continue high. That's a doji, a bullish doji. So once you break the high, you might try. After we break the high, we possibly come down to create a bottom wick and then push up. Mm. Yeah, there we go. Broke the high, heading to 3337. I'll take partial positions there, close a couple of positions, and let the rest run to 3342. It's 70 pips so far from entry. Let's see if we can get to 3337 first. Why 337? I explained it. 15-minute resistance, lower time frame resistance, right there. Look at that. Look at the tap, 337, 3337. Perfect. Stayed above, right? Stayed below, stayed below, stayed below. Crossed, stayed above, stayed back below, then crossed, closed above, and stayed above, right? Yeah, well, coming back down. We broke the high. Maybe come down, break the low now. Possibly then push up. Look at the 30-minute time frame. Yeah, look at this. This is so ugly. Look at these 30-minute candles. Just nothing. No information. Doji. No information. Doji. No information. Weak. If this was a bull candle, then you can say that's a clear rejection to push up. But this is not a bull candle. Even though it has a big bottom wick, it's a bear candle. So it's no information. 3 candles, no information. So the only candle that on the 30-minute time frame, the only candle that we can look at is this one. You have to consider this as the previous candle, not these. We completely ignore these three candles on the 30-minute time frame and look at this one. So this candle closed above, so we are still pushing up. Completely ignore these three candles. If this was a bull candle, then yes, you can say it rejected 3329 and it's pushing up and closed a bull candle. But it closed a bear candle, so that's a weak bear candle. Coming back down could possibly break the 1 hour low. We couldn't get to 337. Trying to push back down now. Anyway, this is the area I'm managing risks. 3322. We break the low, or close partial positions, close below 3322, close everything. Yeah, we're coming down now. We got a 5-minute back handle, strong back handle close. We're coming down. Hmm. See if we can push up. Came back to the optimal entry. Missed 3329 again. But this candle has closed bearish. This candle has closed bearish, strong bearish, rejecting 337 or 336. So can come up and push all the way down. That's why I move these entries, these pending orders further down. We tap 3329. I've taken a pending order just here, one pip above it, so I didn't want to take another one. So that's why I pushed that order down here. These are my orders. 33, waiting for 3337, and then 3342. It's got some pending orders down here. 3326.97, then here. This big push up here, drop, base, rally on the 15-minute. Yeah, it's just being ranging. It's nothing yet. 4-hour candle is going to close in. How can the 4-hour candle close? Can close bullish. Yeah, can go further up. Might come down, create a bottom wick before, more of a bottom wick before pushing up. Might come down another 80 pips and then push up. That is why partial positions at these levels, 33.37 or 33.36, 33.42. That's the final TP, 33.42. I wouldn't look further than that. Maybe 33.50 if there is volume, but I don't know, think so. For price to go up, it needs one of these big 5-minute candles, right? Just like this to push up. That all that says is that there is bullish volume coming in. Right now, nothing. There isn't anything. This could have been it, but it closed bearish, so it's not. So it's ideally we're coming deeper. We've created a bear candle, right? The opposite, in fact, a bear candle. So probably going to come up and then continue down further. We're just ranging right now, just going sideways. This 30-minute candle, look at those. Look at these 4 30-minute candles. They're all in a row. There's no information. 15 minutes is even uglier. Okay, I'm going to be here for maybe 5 minutes more. I've shared the ideas. These are the buys that I've taken. There are pending orders here. I've taken some orders here at 3329, just above it. Anticipating price to come to 3337, then 3342. If there is volume, maybe 3345. Yeah, if there is volume, we could get to 3345. Okay, and then even to 3350 if there is volume. It all depends if there's going to be volume in the next 30 minutes to an hour or not. Otherwise, we're just going to range here, just like yesterday and the day before. The sell idea is very clear. Wait for 30-minute resistance to form from a liquidity level. It can be any one of these liquidity levels. So a liquidity candle, a BRN, or even a weekly SR level up here. 30-minute resistance to form, a 30-minute tradable back candle to close. Draw the M15 fib, find the best possible price, which is the optimal or the sniper, or if you have 3350 or a better price than the optimal or sniper, something in between the two of them, then you can place your pending order there. Look to take the trade to come down so that the daily candle, and look for the daily candle to close bearish, right? If you are in these buys, this is where you manage risk. 33.22 is where you manage risk. So if you've taken your order here, that's about a 65, 70 pip. Yeah, it's about 70 pips. And you're looking to get about 80 there, 130. Almost 2 to 1. Still need that 5-minute big bull candle. Show that price is heading up. Still it doesn't, we don't have that yet. We've not had that. Since this candle, there has not been a 5-minute bull candle that shows that price is going to push up, a big 5-minute bull candle. Okay, how long have I been here? Now 48 minutes. So stay here for 5 minutes more. Okay, I'll be back in about 2-3 minutes and then we'll end the stream. Any questions on anything that we've done today, that I've done today, anything I've said on the analysis, on why I've taken this trade, or the sell setup idea that I've shared, please feel free to drop a question in the chat and I'll do my best to answer. I'll be back in 2-3 minutes and then if there's no questions, we'll end the stream. Okay, that's a 5-minute bull candle, clean push up. We should push to 337. Still no volume. Yeah, we're getting there. It's very little volume. Very, very little volume. A 15-minute candle needs to close strong bullish for the next one to pull back, create a bottom wick, and push up. But the problem is this candle has another 7 minutes to close, so it could easily close weak bullish and continue. The next one could make a top wick and continue down. Unless if it pushes through, gets to this to 338 or 339 and closes above 337, then we're good. Needs to close above 337 because the 337 is M15 resistance, right? And that's where we have our first TP at 337. 337. If it closes above, great. Then we're heading to 3342. Understanding support resistance and using it is very important because uh, it's a, it's a method that you can use to manage risk. It's a method that you can use to take your partial TPs, right? It comes, it'll be in use. You to get out of a bad trade, to take partial positions off, because those levels are important levels, though they're 15-minute support resistance levels. If you're a session trader, they are important levels. You can have retracements at those levels. Yeah, 30-minute candle. Yeah, if 30-minute candle closes above 337, great. Then we'll create a bottom wick and we're pushing all the way up to 342, even 345. There we go. Partial positions out, 337. The 30-minute candle and the 15-minute candle, they're both the same. They're going to close in 4 minutes. Needs to close above this minor resistance at 337. If we close above, we're good. We're going to 340, 3345. So price reacted to this. If you look at the 5-minute, yeah, this candle right here. That's where it reacted, came to the middle of that candle and then pushed up. We tapped the optimal entry level perfectly. All right, we tapped it perfect. Optimal entry, and we're pushing up. This is why it's important to, um, so those trades, 70 pip trades, right? It's not bad for a day that there is low volume. Now, if you're a breakout trader and you took the breakout, or a 30-minute took the breakout of this high, then you were in a lot of drawdown, right? And you are maybe 5 pips in profit right now, right? If you took the breakout of this candle, you're about, what, 20 pips in profit, and you held about 50, 60 pip drawdown. That is why I don't like breakout entries. That's why I never take breakout entries. I always wait for the pullback entry. Does it always work? No, it doesn't. And neither does the breakout entry. But the pullback entry or the retracement will very is more likely. It's very logical. It's a better chance. You'll have a higher chance of getting a lower risk, higher reward, higher probability trade. Okay, that's the end of the stream. Uh, Now, once this candle closes, you can bring your stop loss. You don't have to stay here. You can bring your stop loss under this 30-minute candle low, right? So now if you entered here, you just got a 40 pip stop loss. That's it. Instead of having a 70 pip stop loss, if you entered here, now you've just got a 40 pip stop loss, right? So under this 30-minute candle, because that would be the swing low, right? Push up, come down, and now pushing up. So that would be the swing low, this 30-minute candle low, which is also the fib low. So this low is 24.58. So that's where you have your stop loss now. So now you're reducing your stop loss, your risk. You're no longer going to use this 33.22. You brought it to about 20 pips above it. All right. So we've taken buys during the stream, closed partial positions. We're waiting for final TP around 33.42 or 33.45. Depends on how the 15-minute candle will close. If the 15-minute candle closes like this, above 33.37, it needs to close above or at it. That's 68 pips. Yeah, we should easily get to 33.42, even 33.43, right? Depends on where the candle closes. I'll wait for the candle to close, 30 seconds more. I'll just wait for this to close, and then we'll know exactly where we're heading to. It needs to close with the top wick. If it doesn't close with the top wick, then there's no top wick. We could go up and push down. Pushing straight up, nice. Already to 33.42. Needs to close with a top wick. No top wick, hardly any top wick. No range for the next candle to trade into. 100 pips, yeah. We could head to, now it's going to come, because there is no top wick, it's going to come down to create a bottom wick now. It's going to come down possibly all the way down here to create a bigger bottom wick before pushing up, because there is no top wick. But now we can push to, it's 100 pips. Yeah, we can head to 33.50, for 33.50, 3350. All right, that's the end of the stream. We've taken the buys during the stream hours. I've shared a sell idea for later on, right? Wait for the 4-hour candle to close. It's going to be around London close. After 10:30 a.m. EST, it's 9:30 a.m. EST, so easily got another hour. I'll probably come back to the chart after about an hour and take a look at the chart. I'll be back on Monday, 7:30 a.m. EST. Is Monday a trading day? Yeah, so next week is busy. We got news events, except for Monday, we got news events every day. Perfect, right? I'm hoping that this kind of news will bring back volume into the first 2 hours of the NY Open. That's what I'm hoping for. And we'll shift that volume from the Asian session back to the NY Open, right? Because we want these, we'd like to have volume, 300, 400 pip moves in the NY Open during the first 2 hours of the NY session, right? So I'll be back 7:30 a.m. EST Monday, and we'll do our analysis and look for a setup, right? It's a Friday. Don't overtrade. Don't over risk. If you've had a break-even week or a losing week so far, for any reason, if you won the streams, you wouldn't have. If you followed the trades that I gave out, you wouldn't have. You would have had a profitable week. But for any reason, if you had a losing week, today is not the day to make up for those losses, right? Today is a Friday. It's not the day to make up for those losses. Wait for next week. Be patient. All right. Have a great weekend. See you Monday, 7:30 a.m. EST.